There were exactly 13 steps from the bedroom to the front door. I know because I counted them while dragging my duffel bag across the hardwood, wheels catching on every damn rug corner she insisted made the place feel warmer. That word, warmer, felt like a joke now. The air was cold. Our place was cold. Her side of the bed had been cold for months, even when her body was there. Amanda stood in the kitchen like nothing in the world was cracking open 5 feet away from her. Her fingers moved fast, tapping and swiping, the glow of her phone dancing in her pupils. She wasn't even hiding it anymore. Not the smile, not the flush in her cheeks. I stood there, just for a beat, duffel hanging at my side like an anchor, and I watched her mouth curve into something soft. The kind of smile you give someone when you feel wanted. She never smiled at me like that anymore. No dramatic music. No yelling. Just the small, final sound of the door latching behind me. Click. That click landed harder than anything she ever threw at me. It didn't used to be like this. 2 years ago, I'd wake up with her legs tangled around mine, her sleepy breath hitting my neck, mumbling nonsense before coffee. We used to fight over which show to binge or which takeout place was the best in town. She used to send me selfies at work. Stupid, blurry ones with coffee stains on her blouse or mustard on her chin. I saved them all. Now I couldn't remember the last time she texted me first. Hell, even the way she said my name had changed, flattened, drained, like saying Chris was an errand she didn't have time for. I should have caught on sooner. I did catch on. But you learn how to lie to yourself when the truth costs more than your pride. And I had a PhD in self-deception. Her new perfume wasn't for me. The way she locked her phone screen the second I entered the room wasn't for privacy. That sudden obsession with girls' nights and weekends away that didn't line up with any of her actual friends' schedules? Yeah, I knew. But knowledge isn't always power. Sometimes it's paralysis. I sat in the car for almost an hour before I could start it. The inside smelled like her. Her jacket was still in the back seat. I stared at the steering wheel, white-knuckled, like it could explain how I ended up here, like it had been driving us into this wall the whole time. Then my phone buzzed. One message. Amanda, you could have said goodbye like a grown man. I read it 3 times. No apology. No concern. Not even fake confusion. Just that. Like I had broken her heart by walking out on whatever fantasy she was trying to keep up. I didn't respond. There wasn't anything left to say. Instead, I turned the key, shifted into drive, and left her behind with the same silence she used to kill us. 2 days. That's how long it took before her mask slipped completely. I'd been crashing at my buddy Tyler's place. His couch was brutal on my back, and the sound of his dog snoring could shake drywall, but it was better than waking up next to lies in silk sheets. I hadn't told many people what happened yet. There was still a part of me hoping this was all some warped misunderstanding, even as the evidence kept clawing at the inside of my skull. Then came the email. Not a text. Not a call. An email. Subject line, so we're really doing this? No greeting. No Chris. No warmth. She started off by accusing me of abandoning the relationship like I hadn't spent months trying to glue our pieces back together while she slipped out the side door. She claimed I overreacted. That I was being emotional. That maybe she had been talking to someone else, but only because I wasn't present anymore. Like it was my fault her attention wandered off like a bored house cat. She even had the nerve to call it a connection as if what we had wasn't real and this new guy, this mystery man, was the salvation she needed from my supposed neglect. You want to know the kicker? She didn't deny it. Not even once. She practically bragged about it, said it started innocently at her gym of all places. His name was Logan. Personal trainer. 6-pack abs and motivational quotes on his Instagram. Apparently, he was just a friend who understood her in ways I didn't. God, that line? She said they only kissed once. Like that was the mercy she was offering me. Like it was my job to be grateful she didn't take it further, as if betrayal is measured by inches. I read it 3 times. Sat there in Tyler's cramped dining room, laptop glowing, coffee gone cold, as my chest caved in around every single word. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so insulting it looped back around to absurd. I forwarded the email to myself, closed the laptop, and walked outside. I stood there, in the cold, staring up at nothing, wondering how I'd let myself become so invisible in my own marriage that my wife felt comfortable admitting to an affair in writing, and still somehow made me the villain. The next time I saw her, she was wearing that burgundy coat I bought her last Christmas. She walked into the cafe like she owned the entire street, eyes scanning, lips pursed like she was already annoyed at how much of her precious time I was wasting. I'd chosen a quiet place, off the main strip, thinking maybe we could talk like two people who once loved each other. She sat down without a word. No hi, no apology. Why here? She asked, pulling her sunglasses off slowly, like this was a business meeting and I was her subordinate. I wanted neutral ground, I said, keeping my tone flat. And somewhere public so you wouldn't scream. That earned me a smirk. Not guilt, not shame, a smirk. Oh please, Chris, she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. I'm not the one who stormed out like a little boy. I stared at her. You were texting him while I packed my things. She rolled her eyes. I didn't even know you were leaving. You didn't notice I was in the room. I snapped. You didn't notice me for months. She leaned back, arms crossed. You want a medal for bottling up your feelings and then exploding like a victim? You think I wanted things to get like this? I sat there, jaw clenched, trying not to let her drag me down into whatever script she was following. I wasn't going to be the bad guy in this story just because she needed a reason to sleep at night. I gave you everything, I said, quieter this time. I fought for this marriage. I begged you to talk to me. I asked you again and again if something was wrong. You lied. Every time. She tilted her head like I was a child who didn't understand how the world worked. I lied, she said, because I didn't want to hurt you, and maybe I shouldn't have. But you were already checked out. You were boring, predictable. We were roommates. There it was. Not regret, not apology, just that smug, flat truth that poured out of her like acid. The version of Amanda that only existed when she needed to justify something awful. And the worst part? She believed it. She believed every word she was saying. I pushed my coffee away and stood up. I hope Logan's worth it, I said. Because whatever this is, whatever you are now, I don't recognize you anymore. She didn't stop me when I left. I didn't look back. You ever realize mid-step that you're walking out of a life you no longer belong to? That was me, outside that cafe, walking straight into the early evening chill while Amanda stayed behind with her ego, her excuses, and probably another text waiting from Logan. The streetlights flickered on as I passed them, one by one, like a curtain dropping between every version of myself I'd ever been with her. Husband, partner, safety net, fool. Tyler asked me that night if I regretted meeting her. He was half joking, trying to lighten the mood, but it hit like a sucker punch. I told him no, and then I lied to myself for an hour afterward trying to believe it. The truth was starting to settle into the cracks now. Not just what she did, but how she did it. There was no shame in her. No hesitation. She'd been preparing her exit for months while keeping me in a glass case, just in case things didn't pan out with Logan. I was her backup plan, the safety option. But the kicker came the next morning. I woke up to a Venmo request. Yeah, you read that right. A Venmo request. Amanda wanted $46.75 for last week's groceries. No context. No explanation. Just a digital slap in the face. The same woman who used to make me pancakes on Sundays was now nickel-and-diming me like a bitter landlord. I didn't even know what to do with that. Do you laugh? Cry? Throw your phone out the window? Instead, I sent her the full amount and added a tip. $3.25. The note? For the years you forgot to pay attention. Tyler lost it when I told him. Said I should have blocked her. He's right. But there was something weirdly satisfying about that tiny act of sarcasm. Like scratching an itch that's been hiding under your skin for months. But even that wore off. Because 2 hours later, I got a DM. From Logan. Hey man. I didn't know she was married. I backed off. Just thought you should know. No apology. No bro code remorse. Just a casual bomb dropped into my afternoon. And suddenly, the air around me felt poisonous. Not because he messaged me, because I believed him. I sat with that message for an entire hour, staring at the screen like it was written in another language. Logan, the guy she'd risked everything for, the guy she swore understood her. The guy she made excuses for, kissed behind my back, messaged while I packed my life into a duffel bag, he was the one pulling the emergency brake? I read it again. Didn't know she was married. I backed off. There were no typos. No, hey bro posturing. It wasn't defensive. It was just cold. Like this was just another Tuesday for him. I wanted to be angry. I should have been. But I wasn't. Not at him. What hit me like a brick to the ribs was realizing he probably wasn't lying. That meant Amanda had told him a version of our life where I didn't exist. Or maybe I was separated or basically done or some other carefully polished half-truth that gave her just enough moral wiggle room to chase whatever thrill she thought Logan could offer. She didn't just betray me. She erased me. I scrolled through old photos that night. I don't know why I did it, some masochistic urge to confirm that what we had was real even if she'd already rewritten it in her head. There we were, smiling in Maine, covered in flour on Thanksgiving, tangled up under Christmas lights we never managed to hang properly. Her eyes looked so alive back then. Or maybe that's just what I want to believe. Maybe she was already drifting. At 3:17 a.m. I deleted every photo of her from my phone. Not out of rage. Not as a grand gesture. But because I realized I didn't trust the woman in them anymore. She wasn't mine. Hell, maybe she never really was. The next morning, Amanda called me. First time since I left. No text. No warning. Just her name lighting up my screen like a flare over a battlefield. I let it ring. Then I answered. She didn't start with hi. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't apologize. Instead, she said, "So I guess you've been talking to Logan." That voice, cold, sharp, already angry. Like I was the one who stepped out of bounds. Like I had to answer for something. I let the silence sit. Then I said, "Why did you lie to him?" She didn't hesitate. I didn't lie. I just didn't think it mattered. That sentence right there, that's when something snapped. All this time, I'd been looking for the moment where this could have been salvaged. A chance to rebuild. But now I saw the truth so clearly it felt surgical. To her, none of it mattered. Not our home. Not our memories. Not even the man she said I do to. Just pieces she could shift around when the picture no longer suited her. I hung up mid-sentence. Didn't wait for her to finish. There was nothing left to hear. I didn't sleep the night after that call. My body was still, but my mind was pacing, dragging chains down every hallway of memory it could find. I kept hearing her say it, I just didn't think it mattered. Over and over. Like a loop playing behind my eyelids every time I tried to shut them. By morning, I was done pretending. I texted her one line. "We're getting a divorce." No fluff. No fight. No opening for more of her theatrics. I wasn't playing her game anymore. Within seconds, the bubbles appeared on the screen. She was typing. Then stopping. Then starting again. Then stopping. Eventually, a message popped up. "That's dramatic. Can we at least talk first?" That word again, dramatic. She said it like it was my default setting, like I was the one blowing things out of proportion. She couldn't see that I'd been silent for months, swallowing every red flag she waved like a victory banner. She didn't want to talk. She wanted to control the narrative. So I didn't answer. Instead, I booked a consultation with a lawyer. A real one. Not the guy who helped with our lease or the friend of her cousin who did family stuff on the side. I wanted someone who didn't know either of us. Who could look at our mess with cold, clinical eyes. When I walked into that office, I expected to feel shame. Embarrassment. Defeat. But I didn't. I felt clean. Explaining everything to a stranger, the distance, the lying, the gym trainer, the cafe, the phone calls, the Venmo, it wasn't humiliating. It was liberating. Every word I spoke was like pulling a nail out of my chest. One by one, I reclaimed a little more oxygen. Then, halfway through the meeting, my phone vibrated. "Amanda again. If you do this, we're done for real. No going back." I showed the lawyer the message. He gave a dry chuckle and said, "Sounds like that's the point." That night, she showed up at Tyler's place. No warning. No knocking. Just her standing there in her burgundy coat again, arms crossed like she was the one betrayed. Tyler opened the door and froze like someone had slapped him in the face with a ghost. I stepped around him and faced her. "Chris, you're being insane," she hissed. "I made a mistake. People make mistakes." I didn't flinch. "You made a choice, Amanda." Repeatedly. "You chose him. You chose to lie. You chose to throw this away and now you're shocked I won't pick up the pieces for you." Her lip curled. "So what, you're perfect? You think you were some amazing husband? You were boring, Chris. All you did was work and watch the same shows. You stopped surprising me." I stared at her. "And you stopped respecting me." Her face shifted. For the first time, I saw something close to fear flicker in her eyes. "I'm not coming back," I said. "Not this time." She blinked once, twice, then turned and walked away. Didn't slam the door. Didn't look back. She knew. It was over. The silence after she left Tyler's doorway wasn't peaceful. It was loud. Like a vacuum had sucked the air out of the room, leaving only the hollow echo of all the things I never said when I should have. I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel strong. I felt like I had just been hit by a wave that had taken too long to come, and now I was standing in its aftermath soaked and blinking. Tyler handed me a beer and didn't say a word. That's why he's been my friend since 8th grade. The guy understands when to shut up. I sat on his worn-down leather couch, beer in hand, and stared at the TV playing a muted basketball game I couldn't care less about. The ball bounced. The players moved. The crowd cheered. None of it reached me. My phone lit up 3 times that night. 3 different messages from Amanda. I didn't even have to read them to know the rhythm. Guilt, rage, desperation. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my notes app and started listing all the things I'd ignored. She stopped saying goodnight unless I said it first. She kept her phone face down. Her scent changed. New perfume. Not once did she tell me why. She stopped laughing at my jokes, and it wasn't that they got worse. She didn't ask about my day anymore. Not even out of politeness. She used to steal bites of my food. Then she started eating separate meals. She canceled plans we made, but never missed the gym. She smiled more at her screen than at me. There were 23 items before I put the phone down. 23 red flags that I chalked up to stress or routine or every marriage has its phases. I buried them so deep I could have built a foundation on them. But now they were surfacing one after another like ghosts in a house I thought was mine. Later that night, I pulled out the box. Everyone has one, the shoebox full of keepsakes you tell yourself you're saving for nostalgia, but really it's just a graveyard of old moments you're too scared to burn. Ours was navy blue. Inside, ticket stubs from our first concert, the Lumineers, soaked from rain. A dried flower from the beach trip where we said I love you for the first time. A Polaroid of us at 2 a.m. eating cereal in bed after missing a wedding because we overslept. A napkin with her lipstick kiss from the bar where I asked her to move in. I put them all in a trash bag. Tied it shut. Not because I hated her, but because I finally understood I couldn't carry her ghosts into my next chapter. They weren't mine to protect anymore. 2 weeks after she left my life, or rather, after I pushed her out for good, I got the envelope. It wasn't handwritten. Not some dramatic letter soaked in perfume and apology. Just a plain white envelope slid under Tyler's door with my name typed across the front. Amanda never liked messy handwriting. Even her betrayal was clinical. Inside, a copy of our wedding photo. Just one. No note. No explanation. Just the image of her in that ivory dress, eyes turned up toward me like I hung the damn stars, and me younger, dumber, so sure I'd won something that couldn't be lost. I stared at it longer than I should have. Not because I missed her, but because I pitied the man in that picture. He had no idea how temporary everything was. No idea that the vows he whispered into her hair would one day sit in a courtroom filing cabinet collecting dust between divorce petitions and restraining orders. No clue that 5 years later, the same lips that said forever would defend a man named Logan who drank protein shakes for breakfast and ghosted her at the first sign of drama. I didn't cry. Not then. Not for her. But I did cry when I went home for the first time. My place. Our place. It looked different without her, not just physically, but spiritually. Her candles were gone. Her little messes, the ones I used to complain about, hair ties everywhere, mugs with lipstick prints, post-it notes with half recipes, vanished. The house felt like it had been sanitized of love. I opened the fridge. Empty. Not in the we need groceries way. In the nobody lives here anymore way. There was a note on the counter. Brief. Cold. I took the stuff I bought. I assumed you don't want it. No signature. Not even her name. That one hit harder than I expected. Not because I needed the almond milk or her overpriced wine, but because she was still trying to win, still trying to leave me with less. I stood there in the kitchen, palms flat on the counter, eyes shut. And then I laughed. Because in that moment I realized she thought she was hurting me. But the only thing she proved was that she'd never known me at all. I didn't need her food, her permission, her presence. I needed peace. And for the first time in a long, long while, I could feel it coming. Peace doesn't arrive like a grand parade. It comes in moments. Quiet ones. Like when I finally threw out the old toothbrush she left behind, the one I kept on the sink longer than I should have, like maybe part of her would notice and remember what she lost. Or when I walked into the grocery store alone and didn't hear her voice in my head telling me what brand of coffee to buy. I stopped checking her socials. Not as an act of strength, just because one day I forgot. And then the next day I didn't care. Eventually the compulsion faded like an itch I no longer had to scratch. Tyler came home one night to find me painting the living room. "Why gray?" he asked. "Because everything she picked was beige," I said, and we both laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had in weeks. Not the kind you force to make your friends stop worrying. Not the kind that hides a scream behind it. Just real. Pure. Mine. That weekend I met someone new. Not in the romantic way. Just human. I was at a bookstore, of all places. Waiting in line, flipping through a paperback when a woman in front of me turned and said, "That one has a terrible ending." Trust me. I smiled. I've had enough of those lately. She didn't pry. Didn't ask for details. She just said, "Then maybe it's time for something unexpected." We talked for 10 minutes about books, coffee, her dog that hates rain. When she left, she didn't give me her number. She didn't ask for mine. And that was the best part. Because for the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't trying to replace anything. I wasn't trying to fill a hole. I was just me. And that was enough. That night, I found myself staring at the last thing Amanda had touched in the apartment, a picture frame, face down, shoved in the back of a drawer. It held the photo of us at our engagement party. She was laughing at something I'd whispered, hand over her mouth, I squinting from the light. I looked at it a long time. Then I opened the window. And let it go. Closure isn't loud. It's not a single act or a cinematic moment where the past dissolves in a flash of thunder. No. Closure is subtle. It's when you realize you've stopped waking up with that weight in your chest. It's when you hear her name and your stomach doesn't twist into knots. It's when her birthday comes and goes and you don't even notice. Weeks passed. The divorce papers were signed with zero ceremony, 2 pens, 1 lawyer, 10 minutes. She showed up in gym clothes. No makeup. No eye contact. Just a nod when it was over and a swift exit. Like all those years together were a line item she could check off and walk away from. I didn't chase her. I didn't even watch her go. I stayed behind, let the silence stretch out, and exhaled. She didn't get the last word. Because the truth is, Amanda didn't leave me broken. She left me free. I moved out of Tyler's eventually. Got a little one-bedroom in a part of town she never liked, too noisy, too colorful, she'd said once. But I loved it. The cafe downstairs knew my name by the second week. There's a bookstore around the corner where they let you bring your coffee in. I found a rhythm again. A life again. And not one built around her absence. But around my presence. That's the thing I'd forgotten. Somewhere in the slow collapse of our marriage, I stopped showing up for myself. I made excuses for her, for us, for what we'd lost. But now I was learning to show up again for the guy who made dumb jokes in the mirror, who burned pancakes on Sunday, who sat in silence when he should have shouted. That guy's worth showing up for. If you're reading this and you're in the middle of it, in the fog, in the ache, in the part where you think it'll never get better, let me tell you something. It does. But not when you're looking for revenge or clarity or some grand apology that never comes. It gets better the moment you stop needing her to be anything but gone. I don't hate Amanda. I don't love her either. She's a story I've told for the last time. And now I'm writing a better one. For me.